Why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known?
Growing up in the 70s as a teenager, that song by Chris Christopherson became the anthem to me. You see, I'm a contented man. I'm happily married. I've got two of the most beautiful children. Both sets of my parents are alive and intricately involved in my life. We're all in good health. I live in this wonderful leafy suburb we call Westville, but it wasn't always that way. In 1980, when I was in Standard 9 and Jen was in Standard 8, we met in a church camp and our journey together started. The following year, end of 1981, when I matriculated, I made a conscious decision that I was no longer going to embrace the things of God and I was going to walk away from Him. And I guess it started an incredibly difficult time as I wrestled with God and I dragged some of the wounds of my past in, and poor Jen got caught up in the crossfire of it. We dated for 10 years, 10 tough years, and we decided in 1990 to get married. But after 3 months, I started having an affair. And God says in Deuteronomy 30 verse 15, addressing the Israelites, He said, you choose life and prosperity, death or destruction, but the choice is yours. And I chose death and destruction. And our lives started sliding into an abyss. 2.5 years of tears, of lies, of hurts, of pain, of shame. And you see, there's always consequences to actions. And in the school where I was teaching at the time, they called me in and suggested that I'd leave because I was not a role model to the boys. My family, both my in-laws and my own immediate family, were obviously disappointed in me. At the time, I was involved in the Natal rugby squad. They started overlooking at me. When I looked into the mirror, the man I saw there, I disliked intensely. Jen, the bride of my youth, had only ever loved me unconditionally and given her life to me, that I would do this to her. And I guess the toughest of all is I knew God existed. And the psalmist says this, he says, against you and you alone, Lord, I have sinned. We decided at the end of 92 just to kind of pack our bags and run away from things, put a plaster on it, and told everyone I was teaching and playing rugby in the UK, which I did, but we were actually just running away from our problems. We came back 6 months later and just pretended nothing had ever happened. And then Jen fell pregnant with Kirsty and then with Matt. And I kind of figured that I'd been the worst possible husband. I was going to now be the best possible dad. And I guess I was in certain things, but the sad thing of all, the two most important things, that I was not pointing them to God, and secondly, that I wasn't loving their mother, made me a poor dad. In about 2000, my best friend died in a car accident. Tragically, 37 years old. And I remember that night, it was a dark Friday night, when I walked outside and I looked up to the heavenlies and I wanted to be angry with God, but I knew I couldn't be. And I said, God, if you're real, I need to know right now. I'm tired of wrestling. I'm tired of running. I want life and prosperity. And in a second, God touched me, as if He leant over from glory and just put His hand on me, and a warmth enveloped me. And in a split second, I knew my God was real. I knew He knew my name. He was a personal God that wasn't watching me from a distance, as Bette Midler would say, but He was intricately involved in my life. Why He didn't strike me down and obliterate, because He said the wages of sin is death. And as with Adam, He said, you will surely die, yet immediately He clothed Adam and hid his shame. There was a God that hid my shame, a God of second chances. I'm so glad we don't live under karma, and we live under grace, because karma says what I put out comes back. And I know if it was under karma, I would not stand as a man today, but we live under grace. And I don't deserve anything, yet He chose to forgive me and to give me a second chance. And Joel 2, verse 2:25 says this, I will replenish that which the locusts have stolen. And I've seen God replenish every single facet of my life. I have the most incredible marriage today and relationship with those people around me. Why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known? As I've wrestled with that question, I've got the answer. God has revealed the answer to me. I've done nothing, because it's by His grace and His grace alone.